Fred, we've heard so much today about the importance of ethical AI, and I think that that is part of an umbrella of responsible AI. And you've got a lot of thoughts on that particular topic, particularly as a patent lawyer. Yes. Tell me about them.
Well, I think perhaps one of the most important aspects to responsible AI is something that is not really emphasized enough. And that is that it's not just about being a good corporate citizen, it's actually good for business. The economic, the advantages for AI are great in that if you are trying to add a new AI technology to the marketplace, well, the market's only going to accept a product that uses that new AI technology if it trusts that at some level, at a certain minimum standard, is being maintained for that product. Otherwise, for example, no one's going to go into an autonomous vehicle if they don't think it's going to be safe.
Right.
So there are actual economic advantages to responsible AI. And what I would also mention is that it's not just about being good for business as well, but not practicing responsible AI. If you implement AI in a way that's not responsible, it can have serious consequences to your brand's reputation. So it's important for businesses to fully understand and appreciate the responsible AI.
It seems like a double-edged sword. We look at so much of this technology as being enabling and innovative and giving us the opportunity to expand in the corporate world, but to your point about the core being trust, is there's a tremendous amount of brand risk associated with racing into AI without dealing with a lot of these issues. What are some of the big issues that you're helping your clients work through?
Well, so the main issue being discussed today center around ethical issues, and those considerations are critical for society and they're very important, but they're not enough. What we do with our clients, and we service a lot of enterprise clients and scale-up companies that are almost ready to go global. So what we advise them is they need to take more broad-based approach that factors in several risk mitigating factors, including economic risks, legal risks, ethical risks, and intellectual property risks. So risk mitigation is really important for these companies to.
Tell me about those legal risks, because I can imagine you get a company that gets involved in artificial intelligence, they recognize the value and the importance of it, but from a legal perspective, we don't have artificial intelligence laws, but that doesn't mean that there aren't laws already that apply to this AI world.
That's right. Well, in fact, one observation we have is that there are some members of the AI community who believe that the legal implications won't exist until there are some AI-specific rules in place, which unfortunately for them is not the case. As AI is used more and more in society, there are going to be mistakes made. People will suffer losses and they will want to be compensated for those losses. And we have a legal system for things such as that. And leaving it to the legal system can be something that will result in outcomes for businesses that are unpredictable and disruptive. So we believe the responsible approach to businesses would be to try and mitigate these factors as much as possible in advance while they're developing their AI technology.
My sole understanding of the world of law comes from law and order, so I don't know anything about your world other than the word precedent. Okay. And that's critical. If we don't have AI explicit laws, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be making rulings, and those rulings will create precedent for the future, so let's make sure we get this right now.
Well, that as well as whatever precedents in the past for new technologies could also be used in developing the rules in the courts. But those rules are going to be more about loss and who's responsible. And what we try to advise our clients is you can't control that aspect necessarily, but what you can control is your participation in the AI process. So to do that, you need to understand what your risks are, understand what your role is and what your responsibilities are. And to do that, you want to have a process in place so that you fully understand where your liabilities could be when you're creating a new AI technology.
So the idea being that first you have to identify what the risks are before you can initiate risk mitigation strategies.
That's right. Like for example, for a risk mitigation strategy could be, instead of only using opaque technology, so for example, where you have an algorithm, you don't know the algorithm, what you're using, but you put input in and you get output out. Those are the only things you see, and inside it's all hidden. Well, if you're able to sort of know more about the inside of the algorithm, so you want to make more clear and more transparent, clear boxing it, or however you want to call it, what you could do then is you could insert into the overall system, you can insert audit trails which will deal with ethical issues as well as just knowing who's responsible for what. And then you'll have a better sense of where your actual legal risks are, and you can take steps to mitigate those risks.
So at Norton Rose Fulbright, are you guys implementing AI?
Absolutely, we're fully embracing AI. We have several projects where we are developing or have already developed intellectual AI for our business. For example, we have some ways of using AI to assist with complex project management and pricing. Mm-hmm. We have some internal AI for assisting with automated contract reviews and document generation. And interesting for your audience would be, they can actually go to our website at nortonrosefulbright.com and look at our series of chatbots that we've developed, the Ask Parker series, that answer legal questions with respect to various areas of the law. For example, we have some already out for the Canadian anti-spam legislation. Mm-hmm. We have one out for Canadian privacy rules, and one now recently we've added for the new trademark changes that are coming.
You're not worried about AI replacing your job?
Well, in this case, the AI is answering questions, providing information, and then once the people have the information, they can then determine if they need to speak to a legal advisor for their specific issue. Obviously, the AI is not actually providing legal advice, it's just legal information. But no, actually, to answer that question directly, I'm personally not worried about it replacing my job, in that AI will be assisting me, not taking over for me, because at the end of the day, you will want to have human interaction to the more important issues, and so you're going to have the human there that's going to be overseeing perhaps AI doing some of the work that'll help make it more efficient and less costly to our clients.
Fred, thank you so much for your insight.
Oh, no problem. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Evgeny, is this a real robot or is there somebody inside this thing?
No, Michael, it is a real robot and there is no one inside it.
Okay, so we're at an artificial intelligence conference. This thing better have some strong AI in it. First of all, what's it for?
Well, this robot does have a strong AI component in it, and it was created to work in spaces with high concentration of people, like our conference today.
Right, so people are coming up to this and they're talking to it and it's talking back.
Correct. Either people come to the robot or the robot approaches people and initiates the conversations and talk to them about different topics, providing some important information or just chatting about life.
So the idea being is that if this was in a corporate environment, I could see this in like a hardware store and I'm looking for a widget, it would know it's in aisle 3. But if I was on Google, I would be typing in widget this, which aisle, and I know how to talk to Google. Google knows how to parse the search terms, but this thing's just listening to regular human conversation. So that takes this to a whole new level.
Correct, Michael, you're absolutely right. In fact, that's why AI is needed in those robots, is to be able to identify a specific request that the person has in a sentence. So when the person approaches the robot, they start talking, greeting the robot and asking questions, but then the idea is to be able to identify what is the person actually looking for. And that's why we need AI to process those requests, understand, and being able to identify the proper answer to those requests.
So I can imagine you're not just dumping the universe into this bot's brain. Depending on your client, you've got different data sets you're working with?
That's correct. In fact, we program the robots themselves. We also have servers that are filled with a massive amount of information as well. So customized approach is taken for particular clients to be able to customly greet the clients of theirs. And then we work with data sets that are provided by our clients to be able to customize the responses. For example, a pharmacy is a good example of a client when we need to achieve higher levels of accuracy of understanding what people are looking for because of the difficulty of some names of the pills.
Right, you need a verbal version of autocorrect because I can type my medication in incorrectly and Google will figure out what I really want, but I don't know how to pronounce it in the first place.
That's correct, and that's how we use our AI algorithms to teach neural networks in short periods of times and provide good solutions to our clients in a few days instead of hiring hundreds of people and working on those, on educating the networks for weeks or months.
Okay, but that's a double-edged sword. There are benefits to having a large team of people working with a massive amount of data and funneling that down to a single point. You're going the other way around. What are some of the challenges you deal with when you have a smaller data set that needs to be expanded?
Well, the challenges are lack of data. So that's the major challenge, and that creates obstacles to educating neural networks. And the problem is we cannot use the libraries that are available today because they simply don't exist. So basically we have to create those from scratch.
So you've built your own libraries to deal with smaller data sets that then get extrapolated.
Exactly, yeah.
And there are 400 of these things roaming around the world?
There are more than 400 robots working in the world, yes.
I noticed that you've got a robot that clearly looks like a robot. You haven't made this try to look like a human being. Why not?
Well, I'm pretty sure you are aware of the uncanny valley theory.
The closer we get to it looking human, the creepier it is, and therefore we're less likely to believe it and trust it.
That's correct, exactly. And that's the reason why these robots are created specifically to look like robots. We've tried to make them look funnier, more appealing, with nice emotional component on their faces so that people like communicating with them. However, having said that, the Promobot company has two streams of development. One of them is developing these service robots who look like as robots, and the other stream of development is to develop a robot that looks like a human. Because as you're aware, there is a certain point in this curve which past which people love the robots again.
Right.
So the idea is
you got to get the other end of the uncanny valley that is that graph of acceptability.
Exactly. So that's the idea, and the robot should look exactly as human.
How far away are you from that? Because that's like Terminator level stuff. You're making us nervous at the AI conference.
Well, our engineers were able to insert 29 motors inside a human-sized skull, which is the most number of motors in the world. They were taught by the engineers who created Avatar, and they achieved pretty incredible results. I will show you a short video of the replica of a person face, and you will be amazed.
Well, it's a brave new world. All the best to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael.
Sophia, I can't possibly imagine the University of Ottawa not having an interest in being at the forefront of artificial intelligence.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you look at it in terms of what university is, we are instrumental in the whole ecosystem of knowledge, right? And the whole ecosystem of competencies and skill sets. And it has to evolve. It has to evolve with the economy. It has to evolve with technology. The exponential technology such as AI really colors in terms of what we need to do in order to make sure that we are graduating students and even grads that could actually fulfill job or talent gap for companies. Number one. Number two is we're also working on research and development in order to really educate the next 3 to 5 years. What does that mean at the end of the day? From an ecosystem perspective, we're accountable, we're responsible to make sure that we create enough talent to grow Canadian companies. I am a very proud Canadian. I want to make sure that we see more and more Canadian companies in the global marketplace. And the responsibility of universities such as ourselves, University of Ottawa, is to make sure that we support that and we add value to our communities, business communities, especially in AI.
Let's get back to point one that you made.
Sure.
About at the end of the day, you want your students to be able to graduate and
Yeah.
have careers in the field,
Yeah.
right out of the gate. And then you get guys like Peter Thiel of PayPal coming out and saying, don't go to university, just get in your garage with your computer and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, bless his heart, right? Bless his heart. Peter has his own perspective, and I think everyone has responsibility in terms of what they put out there. I've had a lot of conversation with young ones where they challenge us. Why should they go to university? Why should they go to college? Let me give you a different perspective. Peter is coming from a different life cycle. He's coming from a life cycle of successes and privileges. He also challenged the fact that university does not provide innovative thinking. Well, he came out of Stanford, so I think he's done pretty well from an innovation, creativity perspective. But what he did say that I think is really important is the university needs to grow. I think, fit for purpose type of education is really important. We have to respect the fact that there's going to be a constituents of our population that are really focused on research and development, so that is like going forward. But we also have a core community that wants to have a well-paying job or a meaningful job in a really exciting domain such as AI. University has to do a better job to make sure that we're equipping them with the skill sets and the competencies, but also working with industries to make sure that we're creating the pipeline and the bridge in order for them to have a line of sight to meaningful and well-paying jobs from a knowledge economy perspective. So there's two perspectives. I'm from industry, so I'm not an academe, right? But I have really gravitated towards back to education is because I know how powerful education is when it comes to creativity, innovation, and independence, right? Moral compass is also really important. So university is really important to create that platform. So it's not just about engineering, it's not just about business, it's also about social sciences, it's also about arts and humanities. That's what university has a tremendous benefit, right, to creating that platform.
Well, we've been talking about this throughout the entire program today, about the importance of ethics in artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
And where are we going to embed those ethics in an industry if it isn't on day one?
Oh, absolutely. And we talk about biases too, right? If we go along with what Peter Thiel talked about and basically skip university or colleges and go to work directly, I hate to say it, when you work for a company, that's biased learning. But when you come to university, that is unbiased, right? And we're going to try our best to make sure that we integrate moral compass and moral judgment. And that's why I really think that not only university is going to get more powerful, we are going to work very closely with industry just to make sure that each one of us has a role in supporting our industry to be very successful in the global marketplace.
Well, let's come back to that point that you made, and not to make it all about Peter Thiel or anything like that, but
Peter Thiel plus company.
right, yeah, and the billions behind him.
Sure.
Your analysis of that statement bears out that he's essentially telling us that there are gaps in the university system that need to be filled.
Yeah, agreed.
Where do they need to be filled?
I think number one is we have to respect the fact that there's going to be a section of our population that wants to do research, right? And I think we need certain aspects of that to do pure research, because from pure research comes application research, right? The other piece also is to make sure that university and colleges work closely with industry to make sure that we are creating, we are educating, and we are training and we're upskilling our students to the talent gap that they want, right? The industry gap, be it technical gap, business gap, soft skills, surprisingly, is a huge gap in businesses. How to present, how to communicate.
You mean geeky guys like me coming out of university don't know how to communicate? We got to work on that.
right? Those are soft skills. Interaction skills, likability. How do you make sure you can influence as opposed to telling someone what to do? Influence them to do what you want them to do that is beneficial for the company, right? So there's a lot of, I think there is absolutely a gap. And that's the reason why someone like me that was all industry found this really exciting. And that's the reason why I came back to University of Ottawa to really help rejig and modify that delivery platform to make sure that we have fit for to purpose, right? So then not only we're benefiting the individuals that are going through so they have well-meaning jobs, well-paying jobs, right? But also at the same time, through these wonderful talents, start equipping the company to be extremely competitive in the marketplace. So it's a full circle. So it's an exciting place to be in. And AI is one that we have to be really, really careful about, right? Because the velocity of the technology is tremendous. So we need to work with industry to really understand the exponential, the impact of exponential technology such as AI. But industry and government needs university to create the academic rigor so we can actually measure that these are the skills gap that is applicable for the industry today and also in the future.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.